What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, number 35, your weekly podcast all about Xbox. I'm your host, Kevin, aka the Muffin Man, and I am joined by not my usual group. Garrett's run a little late, but I have Tom here. Tom, how you doing?
Good, just the only panel member that showed up today, but
Yeah,
whatever.
the rest couldn't be bothered. We get excuses like, oh, I have exams tomorrow, or I'm working. Like, I can't believe the amateurs we're working with sometimes. I'm just kidding, everyone. They're great people, and they have to do what they want. But we do have a special guest this week. But before I introduce him, I do have some housekeeping to get through. Firstly, I want to remind everyone that we are live every Thursday around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So please come out, hang out with us on our YouTube channel. Secondly, E3 season is here, and we will be doing a live reaction to the Xbox Bethesda showcase this Sunday. The stream will go up a little before the showcase, maybe 30, 20 minutes before the showcase. So come hang out with the chat. We'll get hyped and then spend 90 minutes with you, a little bit more, reacting to what Xbox and Bethesda has. And lastly, we are doing a giveaway. I originally set the deadline for today, but we didn't meet the goal. I'm gonna be a generous podcast host and extend it a week. So if you guys go over to Apple Podcasts, and leave us a review and a rating, tweet it at us at Project X Talk. It will enter you in a drawing, a random drawing for 1 month of Xbox Game Pass. I will pick someone at random, and you will get a nice little gift to try out all the lovely games that we're always raving on about. So we need 25 of them, though. We're almost halfway there, so just skedaddle on over and drop us a review if you would. Yeah. Now, I won't spend any more time asking you to to rate us and review us over on podcast services. I'm going to introduce our guest. He's the host of the Still Loading podcast. Please welcome to the show, Josh. And Josh, how are you, my guy?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm great. I know we connected pretty recently, a few weeks ago, over on Twitter. And I've been checking out your stuff. Really, really dig what you got going on over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm particular. My favorite episodes were probably the GameCube hidden gem episodes, because I grew up with the GameCube, and I think it's an underrated console. Definitely one of the best. And there's a lot of games stuck on there that people did not play because they were too busy with PlayStation.
And I was one of those people too busy with PlayStation, which is kind of why I wanted to do the episode so I could. I kind of wanted to do the episode so I could kind of challenge myself a bit to learn more about a console that I know about, just in pop culture, but not know intimately. And that's actually one of the reasons I wanted to come on your guys' show, because I am a self-proclaimed Sony fanboy, but not in like the hyper like I hate everything that's not Sony way. It's just that's my console of choice. And Xbox is a massive hole in my library, with the exception of the original one. So I wanted to come on here just to be like, I need to expand my horizons. I need to get out there. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. And you said that you've only played the original Xbox, so you do have that little background. Well, did you have a 360?
No. I actually, when I say that the one I have the most nostalgia for is the original Xbox, I do own a 360 and an Xbox One. So I do have, with the exception of the Series X, but I don't even have a PS5 either, because good luck. But good luck finding either of them right now. But I have played all of the consoles. The original Xbox I played the most of. And then, surprisingly, the 360 generation is the one I played the least of. I played more Xbox One than I have the 360, which is surprising because 360 pretty much won that console, or won that console, or at least in the U.S. If you look at sales numbers, technically PS3 outsold it, but in terms of pop culture and like the zeitgeist at the time, 360 won that by a large portion.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. Okay, well. We do like to ask people, if you had to pick your favorite Xbox franchise, what would you go with?
Ooh, Xbox. Actually, you know what? No, I do have an answer. Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Okay.
Hands down. It would have been Halo if you asked me like 3 years ago, because that was the one I had the most experience with. But Ori and the Blind Forest was my favorite game of the last decade, like bar none. I'm not saying it was the best; it was just my favorite. And then Will of the Wisps came out last year. Loved that even more. It's a great series.
As high praise for Moon Studios, the independent studio that Xbox contracts, but that is an IP. That's not one we hear often. So great choice. I know Garrett's a big fan of Ori. But enough Xbox talk. What is still loading? This is your time to plug your show before we actually get into ours. So why don't you let everyone know what your podcast is all about?
Yeah, so my name's Josh. I'm the host of the Still Loading podcast. Still Loading is I kind of call it a bit of a grab bag of a show. It's almost like, like variety streamers on Twitch. It's kind of like that, but in a podcast form. I do a little bit of everything. I focus a lot on video game history. That's something I'm personally really passionate about. But I do episodes that are like retrospectives on consoles. In fact, this Sunday is going to be an episode on the Game Boy Advance because it's the 20th anniversary of the console. It makes me feel really fucking old. And 20 years, dude, it's nuts. So that's coming out this Sunday, but then I also do episodes that do deep dives on individual games. I've done episodes on actually not Halo yet, but that's something I want to do a big thing on because that's such an important series. But retro games, modern games. I did one on Horizon Zero Dawn. I've done one on Last of Us. I've done one on. I'm naming all PlayStation shit. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the one on Smash Brothers. I listened to that one.
I do have one on Smash. That one was kind of like the series as a whole because I figured I couldn't do a whole episode on each individual game. There's not enough that changes that I could change what I say about it. I figured it would just be good to do a thing about there is stuff to say about each one individually, but not enough to fill a full hour per game, But yeah, so I do stuff like that. I interviewed people in the industry. I've had voice actors and composers on. I do weird ideas, like I did an episode of dramatic readings of video game manuals. That was fun. And yeah, it's kind of like what I do. It's a grab bag mishmash of everything. Just whatever I find interesting, that's what I do an episode on.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a really fun show. I've added it to my listening every week, checking you out, see what's going on. So I enjoy it certainly, and I see you have it for our vision for our non-audio listeners. He has a massive game collection behind him, boxes and boxes.
You're not even seeing a quarter of it. Yeah, I got there's more over that side. Actually, what you're not seeing the most of is a messy ass floor. There is shit everywhere. I have game magazines. I have box games, just kind of strewn about that I need to place. But yeah, I'm a collector as well. It helps with the show because then I can play the game and then talk about it at least at some point.
Absolutely. Well, without further ado, everyone go check him out. But time for us to get into our show proper. And we're going to start with the segment we always start with here every week. I ask one simple question. That question is, what you playing? So, Tom, what you playing?
Right now, I'm playing a lot of Chivalry 2. That game dropped yesterday. I've been waiting for it to come out since the beta that came out last week. Having a lot of fun. Getting dismembered is fun. Just walking around with one arm of one sword and going while you're bleeding out. It's the funnest thing ever. Chopping someone's head off and then throwing it at the next enemy. That's also a blast. I didn't even know that was a feature in this game until someone added it to me. I was like, oh, what the fuck? That's my head. It's coming right at somebody.
It's the ultimate intimidation tactic.
Yeah, it's a really fun game if you like big war games. If you ever played a game like For Honor, I think you would like this one a whole lot. The scale of the battles are much greater.
Okay.
And much truer to form of old sieges, I should say. I've been playing a lot of that. I'm really having really fun. It does not have a campaign, and that's a downer. I was really hoping for some sort of campaign in this game. I feel like it would have went really well with the lore, because right now I don't know what the hell the two factions are even about. That, and I started playing some Pokemon Sword and Shield again. I've never gotten through playing the expansions, so I was like, all right, let's finally do it. Let's sit down. I started the Crown Tundra expansion, having a lot of fun there, and doing the raid battles there to try to get some legendaries that I missed out on since the base game only had nothing. I only had like 3 legendaries at launch. It was the worst thing ever.
So I did the expansion for Shield where you get the fighting Pokemon Urshifu. I did that one, and it was very underwhelming. Wasn't great, and I never jumped back in for the Crown Tundra.
Yeah, the next one, like story wise, it's not there. There's like the benefit for this one is like there's a huge wild area, pretty much the whole new map, and there's a lot of Pokemon to catch. That is the appeal that I need for Pokemon. I don't need a story anyways. I don't need a reason to go out there and battle.
Well, I never completed the original Pokedex, so I don't need more to catch. It's a bit too much.
Anything past the original 150 was too much for me. I legit played the original one a lot, and then I skipped to Pokemon X/Y in like 2010 or 11 or whatever year it came. So I missed everything in between. And by that time, the Pokedex went to 150. Like, what is it? Over 400 or 500 now? I don't even know.
It's crazy.
I think it's like 800 now total.
That's like 650 too many.
I played the first I know at least 3 generations I've played. I don't know about, I can't remember if I played the 4th one, and then I ignored them until Shield came out with Sword and Shield. So I'm not the biggest Pokemon guy. I definitely don't. My strat in Pokemon is literally find the biggest fat shit Pokemon, and that's who's going to my team. Because I just think they're like Lickitung, that elephant one, Genghis Khan, like they're all going to my team.
My strategy always was find any Pokemon that has, well, this is at least for the original Red and Blue, you find any Pokemon that has a fist and you teach it Mega Punch, and you just Mega Punch the shit out of everything. And that was my go-to. I would always go with Squirtle, get to Blastoise, teach it Mega Punch, and have a bunch of water attacks. Mega Punch literally took out anything that wasn't weak to water, and then water took care of the rest. It was perfect. And then Bite was the other move I would go for.
Somewhere there's a competitive Pokemon player listening and being like, these guys have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm an idiot.
Well, Josh, what you playing?
Honestly, not as much as I would like to currently, because with my own podcast, I also just recently this year became a dad, so I have a lot less time than I used to. But when I do find time for it, I most recently played Final Fantasy VI. I'm replaying Final Fantasy VI because I actually was given a review copy of a book on it. So I kind of want to replay the game while I'm reading along with the book so I can do an episode at some point on it. And besides that, what did I just play on stream? I streamed somewhat recently. I've been playing through the remake of Link's Awakening on the Switch. Those were the 2 things that I've been like playing.
I know my brother played that when it came out. He was a big fan. Final Fantasy
It's beautiful.
6, I have not played.
Yes.
I have not played Final Fantasy 6.
Final Fantasy VI is the best Final Fantasy story-wise, in my opinion.
Wow.
Overall.
Hot take.
It is definitely up there. I don't know what my favorite story is, but what 6 does is that you can't judge it by its 16-bit graphics and its translation. Not that its translation or localization's bad, but it was very limited to what they could do because it was on a Super Nintendo. But that game goes places, man. Like, it's one of the only games that I don't want to spoil it for you because there is a very big plot twist at the end. But what I will say, just to give this game some level of depth without giving away the spoiler alert or the big plot twist at the end, I use this game as an example of like why video game storytelling is one of the reasons why storytelling in video games is so good. There is a character in it named Cyan, and he is this very stoic knight-like character. And at one point in the game, his wife and his kid get straight up murdered by the villain of the game, poisoned. And he watches them die in front of him. Later on in the game, you're exploring this forest and you find this train. It's a dumb fucking name. It's called the Doom Train. But, dumb for a serious story, great if it was a Fast and Furious movie, just to call that back. But you find this Doom train, and the Doom train is the train that transports all the souls of the dead to the afterlife. And they get there by accident, and right when that happens, he sees the souls of all of his people, like from his country, in boarding, and he sees his wife and kid, and he has to make a choice whether or not because he could go to the afterlife with them without actually having to die painfully or in some tragic way. He could just get on the train and go with them, but then then he's not there for the rest of the adventure. Then he's not going to help save the world. So he has this really deep problem, this really tough conflict where he's just not sure what the right thing to do is. Ultimately, he does go with the party, but he has this really emotional send-off with his wife and child, and that's one of the few moments in the game where there's no music at all. You just watch the train head off screen, and that's in a 16-bit game, dude. Like, you can't tell me video games aren't after shit like that. Like, that's nuts.
Absolutely. I don't think any of us would argue with that. Certainly, I don't think the audience would if they're listening to a game.
I would assume not either.
Yeah, I think they're well into the games is art. So that's cool. Maybe they'll give it the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment one day.
That would be cool. That would be interesting to see. I'd try it. That's for damn sure. I'd try it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd try it. I'll play whatever remake they want to give me. They can remake all the Final Fantasies modern. But for me, what I've been playing is I have 100%ed Mass Effect 2, and I know Tom. Before this game came out, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get it. I played him once already. I don't need to play him again. And now I have 100% Mass Effect 1 and 100% Mass Effect 2, and I'm working on 3. 3 looks a bit harder. You can't do it in one playthrough either. So that's gonna be a slow burn. Because Ratchet and Clank is coming out tomorrow, and that's what I'm going to be playing for the foreseeable future. So Mass Effect's getting put to the side. I've been working on ukulele still. I played a little more in Dreams, and I can see why this game is not as popular as Media Molecule and Sony want it to be. And it's just because it controls like a bag of dog shit. Every time I play it, I'm like, this has some of the worst controls in video games. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, this would be really, really easy to make stuff if we make the controls super unintuitive and frustrating. Like, I'm fighting my DualSense the whole time. So, I'll keep trying, but I haven't made a masterpiece yet, if anyone was wondering. And then
I mean, I've seen some really good games on there at least.
Yeah, no, I jumped into a few good games, and I swear there was one. It's kind of like Deathloop. You're stuck in like a little time loop, and you have to find bombs before they explode. First person perspective. It was kind of fun. Like I enjoyed it. People are making some good stuff on there. And then other than that,
there's some dude.
Oh, you can go.
Sorry, I was just gonna say there's some dude making an Avatar: The Last Airbender game in Dreams. I haven't seen it. I've just heard it's fairly popular online. Like, people are impressed with like what they've seen of it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They put that on YouTube. Yeah, it's pretty cool. They actually made Aang look like Aang and everything, and all the bending looks freaking cool. But I'm sure the controls do feel like crap, if that's the consensus of the game. But just overall concept-wise, I think Dreams is a good concept.
Yeah, that's why I got it. And we just saw Nintendo put out their own version, right? Garage Builder or whatever they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that one goes. Yellow Devil says he's eating yogurt to not melt in this heat. I'll suffer so much. Yeah, it's been blazing in New York here for a while this week, and since last weekend, my AC's been on nonstop. What up, Mimi? Thanks for stopping by. Glad you could make the stream. And for my final game, I jumped into Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis yesterday. So I loved Phantasy Star Episode 1 and 2 on the GameCube. Back in the day, I put like 1,000 hours into it. I was excited.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I played it so much. That and Tales of Symphonia are like the two GameCube games I have put like 1,000 hours into. But I jumped into Phantasy Star Online 2 when it came to Xbox last year. I played it a bit, fell off because it was super grindy. There were way too many currencies. there's so many load screens. Like you have to queue up for the mission load screen. Like it just wasn't designed well. It definitely showed its age. This one I already like way more. Mainly because there's a central city hub, and then when it gives you missions, you literally just leave the city and you're in the world. Like you don't have to go to a little area to queue up and load into a different, like you just go out into the world and you can just play the game. The combat feels way better. You can actually jump. Like it's more of a modern game. So I'm enjoying it a lot more. It's free. It's only on Xbox and PC. If anybody wants to jump in, crossplay, multiplayer. So go for that. I'm gonna play that for a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna stick with it because I tend to fall off those games where you have to really commit. Live service games are not my thing, but I like it.
I had no idea there was a second Phantasy Star online game. I knew about the first one, and I literally looked it up when I saw it on the show notes. I'm like, this game came out in 2012, but it got a US release date in 2020. Mm-hmm. How have I not heard about this till now? I feel so out of the loop.
Yeah, Xbox brought it to the West in 2020, exclusive to Xbox for a few months. Then it opened up on PC, and it's still not on PlayStation. I'm pretty sure there are 2 ship servers that are dedicated for PlayStation. Whenever the hell that opens up is anyone's guess. Like I don't know. I haven't seen anything about them putting it on PlayStation, but I think I think there's 2 servers reserved for it. But yeah, right now it's a PC and Xbox exclusive, which is big for them because that game is huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had no idea. I might have to check it out.
Yeah, jump into it. It's free. What up, Josephine Young? Welcome. First time here, you say. Well, we hope you enjoy. We're about to get into the news roundup, and we got plenty of news to talk about, guys. There's a lot. There's quite a bit.
I was so nervous when I saw this. I'm like, this is my first time on doing a news style of show, and I'm like, holy shit, there is so much news today and this week. So there's so much. Like my mind's still like reeling from it.
Yeah, we were expecting nothing until like, oh wait.
Yeah.
Summer GameFest dropped, and then Xbox just dropped a slew of news. All right, guess we have a show. What's up, Garrett?
What up, Garrett?
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the show. We're perfect time. We're about to jump into the news, and there's plenty of it.
I missed so much this week.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. That's what I'm here for. I'm gonna give you a rundown. I just gotta figure out where I want to start. You guys want to start with Summer GameFest? Do you want to start with the most recent thing?
It's fresh. I just saw it. I mean, I think it'd be easier to talk about.
All right.
Sure.
All right. So, story number 1. Summer Game Fest just kicked off. Literally ended a little over an hour ago. Jeff Keighley's big presentation. And to start, we got Gearbox's new title, starring Andy Samberg, Will Arnett, Wanda Sykes, and Butt Stallion. And the last one is a giveaway to indicate that this is a Borderlands spin-off. It is called Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and it's coming early 2022. Tom, I know you were excited about this one. You wanna take it away? Give me your impressions, because I'm not the Borderlands guy.
So I'm not sure what to expect of overall gameplay wise, but I love that they're delving into Tiny Tina's Wonderland, as they say. Borderlands 2, the Tiny Tina DLC is by far the best DLC of that game, period. She makes the game really fun, and her mind is insane. Like, the narration in the game, how they just tell us when you're just playing the game, and random shit just starts popping up as she's narrating. It's the funnest thing ever, and I think with this new take on it, it'll be interesting. I have no idea what they're going for, though. Is it a fantasy style game? Is it a looter shooter like they said? I have no idea. I don't care about all the celebrities, honestly. I don't that they're just voices to me. Butt Stallion being there, cool. Maybe if he's a playable character, maybe I can ride him around.
I think
I'm interested.
Ride the Butt Stallion?
Yeah, ride Butt Stallion. Why not? He's a fucking unicorn.
Josephine Young in the chat says, I'm really looking forward to Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I love the Borderlands series, also love the Tiny Tina DLC. My brother also loves Tiny Tina and that DLC. So I know he's super pumped about this. he asked me he was at work, he's like, what kind of gameplay is that? I was like, I haven't the slightest idea. Ashley Birch told me that you can make your own character. That's all she told me. So, Garrett, you a Borderlands fan? You looking forward to this?
I'm a Borderlands fan, so like I'm automatically excited. I really hope it's a looter shooter just set in, Tiny Tina's head.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at work for the last little bit, so I did not watch one lick of the Summer Game Fest.
That's okay.
Wouldn't know what to tell you.
I'll run it down. Feel free to look up some videos if you want while we're doing this to know what we're talking about. I'll save you for last. Josh, Borderlands, you a fan?
Yes, I am. I played the first two, did not play the third one. It took me years actually to beat the second one because I logged like over 100 some odd hours in the first one, by a lot of solo play too, which I know everyone's like, it's a co-op looter shooter, but for some reason the first one I just found so enjoyable just to play solo, even when my friends weren't able to play. Two, it took a long time for me to work my way through it, but I finally did, and met Tiny Tina in Borderlands 2 there. This seemed interesting. I see the stars actually did seem interesting to me, not because like you're saying they are just voices, but the fact that they're getting like fairly decent comedians for this. Like Andy Samberg is funny, Will Arnett's funny, Wanda Sykes is funny. Like this game is like they're really trying to turn this into like, I almost wonder if they're trying to go for like a stand-up vibe with it. I mean, there's just a lot of comedians with it. Let's get every single stand-up comedian in here somehow. Bill Burr's next. Who knows?
He's playing the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's got some potential. I know some people didn't find Borderlands 3 as funny. They thought the humor was a little more cringe compared to the rest of the series. So maybe they're trying to course correct and really make sure this one nails the humor. But we'll find out.
I could also see though that Borderlands humor I feel like is very much of the time that it came out, and like if you look at when Borderlands 2 came out, what was that, like 2012, right? Am I remembering that correctly? 2012, 2013. That kind of like self-aware I'm blanking on the word I want to use, but the self-aware kind of like blue humor. Blue is not the right term, but you know what I mean, like a little bit more on the dirty side, really really making fun of the player, really being mean humor. That's what I'm trying to say. Like really cringy mean humor. That was popular back then. Like self-aware mean humor was super popular back in the early 2010s, which is weird to speak like that because it wasn't that long ago. But I feel like now the world's a little bit different, and that sense of humor isn't quite as funny as it used to be. So I wonder if Borderlands 3 just missed its mark for when it should have come out, like around 2014, 2015, but it just missed its mark, I feel like, in terms of humor.
Yeah, I didn't play Borderlands 3, so I can only go off what people told me. I know my brother likes the Borderlands. Do you think the humor was a little cringe for the Borderlands 3, Tom?
Not necessarily cringe. I mean, I feel like they're all cringe, but in a good way. For me, the only real complaint was the villains. I didn't like the villains; they weren't good. Like Handsome Jack, for example, he made the game Borderlands 2. That's why that game was so good. Mm-hmm. These guys could not compare, and that's why I didn't like it as much. It's just so hard to follow up with Handsome Jack, unless they make another Handsome Jack again.
Handsome Jack 2, the jacketing.
Garrett, you wanted to say something in there? I heard you.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that like he was saying, Handsome Jack. What these guys don't stand beside him in any capacity. But I was gonna say, I think that's just because they went too stereotypical with the whole meme star thing. Mm-hmm. That they were that vibe that they were trying to go for. They just tried to hit every checkbox instead of making a personality behind them. So I think that was the character flaw. But
I'd agree with that.
Josephine Young in the chat says, what do you guys think about the Borderlands movie? I think it's going to be terrible. That's my honest opinion. Video game movies tend to be terrible, and I don't care. The casting does not fill me with any sort of excitement.
But Sonic, come on.
they can only redeem themselves if they get Danny DeVito to play Claptrap.
I forgot who's playing Claptrap.
Jack Black.
Jack Black. That's who
Jack
it is.
Black. I guess like that could be pretty good. I guess
That's not the worst choice for Claptrap, but like the other, like Kevin Hart, I don't. It's just a weird casting for me. Like I don't picture him as Roland, right?
Roland wasn't really a funny guy,
This
so
is gonna suck.
yeah, Roland was like a stoic hard ass.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No. We'll find out. Their marketing for that movie is just the silhouettes trying to build hype.
They should have got Idris Elba.
Yes, that would have been good. That's good casting.
That would
right
have been
there.
a great Roland. I got more disappointed now. Thanks for that.
All right, well, we'll move away from Borderlands because we got a lot to go through. I'm gonna start reading off the announcements, and if you guys hear one that you want to talk about, I think that's the best way to do it. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Stop me. So after Wonderlands, we had Metal Slug Tactics, strategy, Gears Tactics, but with Metal Slug essentially.
This will be. I was just say this will be real quick. I don't have much to say on it except for the fact I think this is awesome. They're doing this because Metal Slug was a super popular series, and I'm all for weird ideas with old franchises that you don't see much very often. So, a tactics game around the Metal Slug universe, I bring it on. I'm all for that. That's all I got to say. I just think it's cool. I think it's a unique idea.
Yeah, it looks cool. I agree with you. It looked pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Gears Tactics, so. Then we had Hideo Kojima on stage, not on stage, on Zoom, and it was the most awkward thing I might have ever seen. Like, it was just him and Jeff chatting it up, like, how you doing? How's Japan handling the pandemic? And then before he left, he was like, oh, I got something to announce. And then goes to Death Stranding, and it says captured on PS5, so we're like, all right, Death Stranding's coming to PS5. And then we proceed to get a trailer with the character from Death Stranding just tipping over a box and hopping in it like Snake does. It's the
wrong way though.
Yeah, it was the most awkward. I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Like, I'm not enjoying this at all.
Yeah, the whole thing about it was like the background music they had was also very Metal Gear inspired. Mm-hmm. So when he looked at the box, I really thought, all right, is this gonna be a Metal Gear Death Stranding crossover?
That's what I thought.
No, maybe. I have no idea. Like, they didn't show us anything either way.
Yeah. Well, it's just a director's cut, so I would assume it's. What's weird to me about this is that Death Stranding already feels like a game that was built in with its director's cut intact. Like with Kojima, I feel like, what did he leave out? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he puts everything into his games in the first place. And I wasn't even a fan of the first there's only one. I wasn't a fan of Death Stranding. It was just a boring walking simulator in my opinion. I could not get into it. I don't want to play balancing act while walking over, like, it literally is, if you're a delivery man with 50 pounds of shit on your back and you see a mountain you have to climb, that's all the game is. They make it as realistic as possible. You have to make sure you balance everything. And I don't know, that game really, I bought it because I'm all for him making weird shit like that, because I think more AAA developers should make weird shit like that. But I don't know what to say about it. Like, they focused on the oranges that fell out of that box for a bizarre amount of time.
I honestly, I don't think any of us like Death Stranding either. So you're amongst company of people that are like,
yeah, I'll even take that a step further, and I think he's vastly overrated.
Yeah, no,
I don't like him.
See, and it's weird. I don't even think Kojima is overrated. Like, he more than other devs that I can think of really has tried to do interesting stuff with gameplay. I still think back to, the original Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 where you had to unplug the controller and put it into the controller port 2.
That was annoying.
I mean, it's annoying, but like he tries to find like unique ways to bring the player into the game to make them feel more immersed in the game world. So I don't think he's overhyped or anything like that. I just think that people tend to overhype his stuff. Like, I think he's actually a really smart and inventive game designer, but not everything is going to hit for everybody, especially this. Like, he took a big risk on this, and on Death Stranding, and it's the storyline seems interesting. The world he built seems really interesting, but just the gameplay is just I can't say something good about it.
I'm just hoping this isn't before we move on.
Yeah, go for it.
This isn't a franchise that he's gonna stick to.
Oh, Death
you know,
Stranding
definitely.
2.
Hopefully hopefully that never happens. And he transitions to a new project.
I hope so too.
Well, Death Stranding Director's Cut for PS5 was announced, so that'll be coming at some point. Then we had Jeff Goldblum come on and announce Jurassic Park Evolution 2, which, okay, cool. Like,
Are you serious?
yeah.
This is actually, I'm low-key excited as hell for this. I didn't know. I'm still, like, watching it, but, like, Evolution 1, I love playing that. Like, you just make, like, a little Jurassic Park thing, then just randomly encompass your entire zoo with velociraptors and be like, oh, power outage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they should add a survival mode to that game. Me and my friends, when we were originally playing that, had, like, a huge, like, what if you could go in as one of the guests in your friend's park, and you go to, like, the spawn in the center of it, and then the power goes out and you try to get out. I think they should add that, a feature. Cool. That'd be sweet.
Well, I think that's coming some point this year. I didn't write anything down about it because I didn't care, but I think it's coming some point this year. Then we had a musical performance, and behind the musical performance was showing alpha gameplay of Sable. It's an adventure game. It's out September 23rd. It'll be a demo's playable next week as part of the Idea Xbox demo event they announced. I thought this game looked beautiful. I was really intrigued. Like it looked absolutely gorgeous, and I'm gonna definitely hop into that demo and give it a try.
I agree with you. I'm a sucker for, because it looks like an indie game too. Yeah. I don't know. I think it is, right? Is it?
I think so.
I'm a sucker for indie games that have unique art styles. There's a game called Grease that came out for the PS4, and I don't know what other, probably a bunch of other stuff, maybe Xbox. That game is like one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, and it doesn't look exactly like that, but it kind of reminds me of it with like the drawing style and the animation style, and it looks awesome. Like I'm all for it. I love indie games with unique art styles, because there's another one farther down that was what is it, Tunic or something like that. I think that's what it was called.
One?
Yeah, it's isometric, and it looked really interesting. But yeah, I actually might check this out. This looks really cool. I have no idea what it's about, but the art style has me.
Art styles. What did you think of Void Bastard? I thought that was one of my favorite indie games of the year.
Of what, sorry?
Void Bastards. It was by one of the creators of BioShock, and it was like a procedurally generated. You're a guy who salvages old spaceships.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's sort of, think of old school Doom style, but all like drawn cartoon animations.
I can't. What is it called again? The Late Bastards?
Void Bastards.
Void Bastards.
Okay. Lake?
Void.
No,
V-O-I-D.
V-O-I-D.
Oh, Void.
Yeah.
I don't know why it kept sounding like Lake to me. I'll have to check this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, check it out. One of my highly recommends for the indie department.
That looks awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Apart from that, then we moved on to a Diablo-esque looking action RPG called Lost Ark. It looked fine. Like, I don't really have anything to say about it.
Well, there's a lot. That game looks pretty good. Right now, that game's already out, like it's just not natively in English.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's been a long time ARPG that's finally coming out to the West, and hopefully it's good. I love ARPGs as a franchise, and I feel like there's never enough of them.
Okay. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. Then we had Call of Duty Season 4 information. No one cares. We had a movie trailer for Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. I swear I saw this trailer over a year ago before the pandemic started, so I think this is one of those movies that got delayed. Ryan Reynolds is funny as always. We got Among Us news. They're adding achievements, new colors, a new map, expanded lobbies, a hide-and-seek mode, and new roles like Sheriff. I wonder where they got that from. Maybe all the mods that did it 8 months ago. People have been playing Sheriff for 8 months now. So, Then we had some indie games about painting. I don't remember the name. Introduced by Shuhei
That
Yoshida.
looked really interesting to me. Hold on, I wrote that down. Where did I write that down? Because once again, indie games with weird art styles. It looked really interesting to me. Solar Ash, right?
No, Solar
Is
Ash.
that what, or is that a different one?
Solar Ash was later in the show.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chicory.
Yeah, Chicory. Chicory is the painting one. Definitely.
Yeah, that looked really cool. There's a game that was for the PS3. I think it's out on PC now called The Unfinished Swan, and it kind of the art styles are nothing like, but the whole painting aesthetic is kind of similar. Or it's I shouldn't say similar. The mechanics look different, but the Unfinished Swan, it was basically a game where you played as a kid in a storybook, and you're going through this children's storybook, and it was all first person, and you shoot globs of paint to kind of paint the world into existence, because it just starts out at a pure white screen, and you shoot this black glob of paint, and all of a sudden you start seeing form and shape to everything, and it's really interesting. So it kind of reminded me of that.
Interesting. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that game.
It's from the same people who made What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh, okay.
It was like it was an earlier game. It's good. It's short. It's like the same length as like Journey. It was right around the same time Journey came out. So Journey came out first and just blew up.
Yeah.
And then this came out and no one really talks about it. I think it's a really good game though.
Neat. And then apart from that, they also announced Salt plus Sacrifice. It's a 2D Soulsborne game. You got any interest in that, Tom? I know you like Souls games, and I despise them.
Yeah, this is the same people who made Salt and Sanctuary. Right? Mm-hmm. So I love the art style in this, for one. I love Soulsborne games and roguelikes. So this one definitely seems like it's one that's up my alley. I'll give it a shot whenever it comes out.
And then we had Solar Ash from Annapurna. It's coming later this year. Another gameplay trailer. The game looks cool. It looks. I forget what the game. Hyperlight Drifter is what I think this team made before that. I believe, if I'm remembering correct. It's kind of similar to that. So if anybody's played that game, then we had a Chivalry 2 launch trailer. Tom, you already talked about playing that game. Just go hack people up. We had a very brief teaser for a new Valorant character.
It was like the second.
And I mean very brief. Showed a helmet. Then we had, and I think you might want to talk about this one, Tom, Escape from Tarkov, the streets of Tarkov. They're working on something new for that. I wasn't really sure what this game is, but you seem to know a little more about it.
Yeah, honestly, as far as what they showed, I don't really have anything to say about it. The only thing I would want to say is this game is to come to fucking console already. It's one of the most interesting FPS ideas that I've seen in a long time, and I need this game. And I think Garrett would agree with me. Garrett, come on, you've seen Tarkov, right?
Yeah, it looks fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Never mind, he's not excited. He's not excited.
This is exciting.
No, I'm confused. I'm far away from my mic. I'm still trying to figure that shit out.
So then we had 2 Point Campus announced. I don't care about this at all.
I've seen like the 2 Point series apparently is fairly popular. Yeah. I've never played. I legitimately didn't know this was a thing, because I focus so much on the retro stuff. Like a lot of times I miss like insanely popular series like that. It just seems like a Sims style thing, and Sims was never really my cup of tea.
Yeah. It's like, if you ever played any sort of tycoon game back in the day, that's what 2 Point is.
Okay.
2 Point Hospital is really good.
Games.
Yeah, so 2 Point Hospital is really good. So I'm sure that this campus one would be about the same. I mean, I can't imagine they're going to change too much around. Besides, it's a campus, not a hospital.
All I know about 2 Point Hospital is they just added a Sonic the Hedgehog outfit. So
part of the Sonic 30th anniversary.
Yeah. Then we had Smite and Stranger Things crossover. I love Stranger Things. I don't care about Smite. The characters looked cool. Then we had a new game publisher announced from Koch Media, which was told on Twitter. I don't think Jeff's told us that. They showed 12 games making up an initial slate. The publisher is called Prime Matter. and their games are, the only ones I wrote down were Payday 3, and they're working with Saber on a new Painkiller. And I've played Payday 2, and that game's a lot of fun, so Payday 3 is kind of cool. I've heard of Painkiller. I don't know what it is. So can someone tell me?
I mean, I think I might have played the original Painkiller. It was like a vampire hunting FPS game where you threw like stakes of wood at vampires. I might be completely misremembering. I just remember I played. It was like it wasn't quite a Doom clone. I'm looking it up right now. Just
the
to make
game
sure.
that was inspired by Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Is it?
Like, you made me remember with the throwing of the stakes. Like,
Yeah, because the original one came out
members-
on the original Xbox.
Yeah, it was forever ago.
Yeah, like forever. But I have vague like childhood memories of that. Not enough to comment, but if I
Yeah,
do remember,
same.
corny as all hell when it comes to the vampire department. Like, you threw stakes. I think that speaks enough for itself.
Now I want to see a mod of it where they're throwing actual like edible steaks, just slabs of meat, just hitting the vampire to see what.
That's the way to do it.
Oh, that would be great.
This is well done, not medium rare. There's no blood.
The well done steaks cost more money since they're a little bit harder. They do more damage.
Oh yeah, dude. Or no, you could get them raw and you have like little barbecues everywhere and you have to barbecue them.
The
So
raw
you look like
ones
there might be
poison
something
them.
coming at you. Yeah.
The raw ones give the vampire salmonella. You get poisoned.
Hire us.
And then we got a brand new IP coming only to Xbox, PC, and day one to Game Pass called the Anacrusis. And I wrote down, this is basically Left 4 Dead in space, but it looks kind of cool. I got time for it, so I'm all about it.
I agree.
I love Left 4 Dead. Can't wait for Back 4 Blood. So this game's coming out in the summer before Back 4 Blood in the fall. So this will kind of hopefully give me that little itch. Play it on Game Pass. You guys see anything about this?
I did. I really like the art style in it.
Yeah.
It looks really good. That's the one takeaway I had. So definitely this would hold us over until Back 4 Blood. You know, just have back-to-back Left 4 Dead kind of games. Why not? One in the summer and one in the fall for the next one, or is it
October.
2022?
October for Back 4 Blood
Yeah.
right now.
I think in general, there's just a lot of games that are kind of becoming Left 4 Dead clones. Not saying that's a bad thing, but I know Back 4 Blood is made from the same devs as Left 4 Dead, so that's not surprising. They're kind of going back to the roots with that. But even like with this, it just seems like, and there's another game later, maybe it was earlier or later on, I don't remember anymore, but it just felt like they're doing more Left 4 Dead. Oh, the farther on down, the freaking Evil Dead game we'll get to it, but like that looked to me a little bit like Left 4 Dead from the gameplay I saw. So I don't know what it is, what's in the water, but apparently just everyone wants to do Left 4 Dead stuff, Left 4 Dead style things. I don't want to call it a clone because it doesn't seem exactly one-to-one, but it definitely seems inspired.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that we're getting these inspired games by Left 4 Dead now, because I feel like we just went a decade after Left 4 Dead 2 without anybody doing anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's just weird that they're all popping up around the same time.
I wonder if they would have been staggered releases if it wasn't for the pandemic, though. Did the pandemic? Are we getting these all now because everything got pushed back? So maybe there was one that was supposed to come out right now, and then one of them was actually supposed to come out last year. Either way, it probably would have felt the same, but now it feels like we're getting 3 all at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good point. I know Back 4 Blood was originally meant to come out this month, and then it got delayed. I think in 2 days it was supposed to come out. Maybe I'm confused, but it was supposed to come out in June. But yeah, I'll check it out. It looks pretty cool. The next story was called New World. It's a supernatural MMO coming this summer. Deep dive tomorrow. That's literally all we got.
And that's from Amazon Gaming, right? That's an
Yeah, that's
Amazon
their MMO.
dev one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one had a lot of changes recently, and apparently there's a big controversy with their how they're going to work with their cash shop. It seems extremely pay to win, in my opinion.
Probably.
Mm.
Yeah, it says you have to pay for fast travels. Just to put that in perspective.
Oh,
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself. No.
Yeah.
They're taking
And
Skyward Sword. Did you saw that? In order to fast travel in the Skyward Sword, you have to buy the amiibo for like $25 or something.
Yeah. So what the hell?
Yeah, I'm not playing Skyward Sword anyway, but like, it's dumb. Nintendo makes weird decisions. Then we got Rocket League meets Fast and Furious 9. They're bringing a car pack.
Family.
I love Fast and Furious. So that's all I got to say.
Really? You're a Fast and Furious guy? I didn't
Yeah,
see that one coming.
I love.
Oh yeah, don't you say he's a big gearhead? Come on.
No, I don't care about that.
See,
I just think they're stupid fun movies. They're like, I love them.
I'm down for anything that has dumb, over-the-top action that can suspend my disbelief just enough where I'm like, okay, I could see how that's possible, even though it's not possible at all.
Could they really drag a safe through the city?
Exactly. I think it's more or less, I like it when when action movies can create inventive set pieces that I've never seen before. It's the same thing with I'm a big martial arts movie fan too, like good martial art, like fight choreography. Not saying I'm an expert in it, I don't know shit about actual martial arts, but like when you see like well done fight choreography and it's visually interesting, it's a breath of fresh air compared to just every other generic action or martial arts movie out there. And so while the Fast and Furious movies are stupid as hell, they are so dumb, but the action and the set pieces are so well constructed. I remember listening to some podcasts, and apparently the producers of the movie were literally just going up to directors and saying, all right, what's the biggest, craziest set piece you can think of? There's no limit on money. And you're seeing it on screen.
They make so much money, they don't care what they're doing. They're gonna go to space eventually.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
No, they're gonna fight the Avengers. It's just gonna happen.
They're already. Vin Diesel.
Like
Vin Diesel lifted a fucking car in the 7th one.
He's a superhero. Yeah.
He is.
No, man, their last one is going to be the prequel to Mad Max. It's just going to continue on again.
And it'll just end with Dom dying. Like, I thought we were family, and then it goes to Furiosa.
Yeah, he'll die from Mel Gibson. Then Furiosa hits him, just as like a little. Yeah, it happens.
Alright, Universal.
I'm for it.
We got some ideas. Then we got Shark Mob's game. We got a teaser for this. It's in the Vampire universe, or Vampire, however you want to say. It's their multiplayer game. We're shown in-engine alpha footage. Looks like a PvP game, like Vampires versus Soldiers is kind of what I was taking away. It's called Blood Hunt. I thought it looked kind of cool. Like, I don't know anything about this universe, but I thought it looked pretty cool.
I could see it's sort of being like the Predator game.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. Yeah, like it's going to be one souped up, or a couple souped up vampires versus like a squad of soldiers, probably.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I got time for that.
Yep.
Anyone else have thoughts on this? Okay.
I had no idea what was happening.
And on that,
I was just so confused by it.
on that, we'll go to we had House of Ashes story trailer. This is the next entry in the Dark Pictures anthology, which I actually play all those. I enjoy. I've played Until Dawn. I've played Man of Medan. I haven't actually played Little Hope yet, but it's on my. It's gonna come to Game Pass at some point, so I'm just waiting. Like
that's what I'm waiting for. I'm just I want to buy this. Maybe it'll come to Game Pass right around Halloween time.
I bet it will. Yeah. So I like them. They're not the best, but they're fun storytelling. So then we had Tales of Arise trailer, new characters revealed, and I'm super pumped. This is one of my most anticipated games. I'm a huge Tales of fan. I don't know if anyone has heard me talk about Tales of Symphonia, on this podcast literally like 40 minutes ago, but I'm super pumped. I'm excited for the new art style. The new characters look great. The voice acting is pretty good if you know anime and these types of games. So I'm super excited for Tales of Arise. I can't wait.
I just am happy that any JRPG is coming. More JRPGs are coming to Xbox, just because it's. And like I said before, I'm more of I'm a self-proclaimed Sony fanboy, but I think anytime you can diversify a genre into something that's not just on one console brand, I think is a great thing. I actually have Tales of Symphonia back there on the somewhere on that wall there.
Please. well, you have the GameCube version. Do you have the GameCube version?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's probably the one with that's missing some content. It only has.
Oh, so you mean I'll actually save a couple hours of a 200-hour game?
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Kind of,
I'll take it. I'll take the stuff
missing,
out.
It's just missing a few mystic arts and stuff like that. So like the PC and PlayStation versions are probably the best. If you can find, I mean, it's on Steam for like $3 if you wanted to play it on your PC instead of GameCube. Either way, I highly recommend it. But yeah, I'm super pumped. Tales of Arise, can't wait, and I think we're getting Scarlet Nexus, Phantasy Star Online. We got the Yakuza game, so Xbox is making that push, as we've talked about numerous times, to get the Japanese market, to get the JRPGs. And I'm just waiting for Persona 5 Royal. You know, I already platinumed it on PlayStation, but I'll put another 87 hours into it on Xbox.
I feel like you would. I really feel like you would get it too.
I would, yeah. I'd get that 100%. Oh, yeah. I would love every minute of it, too. Then we got Little Prince.
So this actually, it's not Little Prince. It's a port of a game that was on mobile phones. I think it's on iPhone and Android. At least it's definitely on Android because that's what I have. It's called Sky. Oh. And Sky is made by the same people who it's made by that game company who did Journey and Flow and Flower. Okay. Journey, obviously one of the most like critically acclaimed games, from the PS3 gen. I actually have barely touched Sky at all. I have it on my phone. It is beautiful. What I have played of it, like the graphics are really like the art design is stunning, but the Little Prince part of it that you heard, I'm taking a stab at it because the design kind of reminded me of it. There's a Netflix movie called The Little Prince, which is based off something else. I don't know what the original property is, but it was a kids movie, and it looks like the Little Prince from that kids movie. I think that's what it is. I have no idea. If he's not, then I don't know what he's from. But the original game is Sky, and it looks really cool. Actually, I've played a bit of it. It's very similar to Journey.
Yeah, I like the art style. I just didn't know what was going on. Did not think it was explained.
It was not.
We got another indie game coming to Xbox and PC in 2022 from Swedish studio Wishfully called Planet of Lana. I see a lot of people talking about this one on Twitter. They really like that art style.
I'm with them. It looks beautiful.
Then we got Overwatch 2. They revealed some new character redesigns. Great. Dungeons and Dragons Alliance gameplay. I put a little note in here. Not a great showing. They were just dying. Like, is that supposed to make me want to play the game? Because nothing they showed me made me want to play the game. Like, I'll probably check it out because it's on Game Pass, but that was not a good way to market, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game will come out good regardless. So I feel like if you play the Vermintide games, I feel like it's going to be right in line with those.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great, and they just chose, people who played like shit. And maybe, at that point, they should have, let the devs play it instead of some celebrities from WWE.
The one dev did play it, and he died, and I was like, what are you doing? You made this game. I get Ember Moon dying over there. Like, what? But anyway, then we got Paladins cross Genlock, and I don't know what any of that means. I know Paladins is some sort of MOBA.
Overwatch clone. It's an Overwatch clone.
Okay. I have no idea. Then we got Monster Hunter Stories coming in July. We got a story trailer for that. It's coming to the Switch. They're making a big push with the Monster Hunter series right now. And then I put, someone's going to have to fill me in here, I put Bathroom Break, Weezer performance, came back, and some bear with a cigar was jumping in a boat.
I was behind on the stream at that point because I other stuff was happening, so I just kept fast forwarding, trying to get up to make sure I got everything in time. So I skipped the entire Weezer performance.
Tom, do you know what happened with this bear?
What about its cigar? Is that Smokey just turning? He's starting the fires now.
Whenever I heard music, I wasn't even watching the screen, so I have no idea.
Right. Well, something about a bear, guys. Then Sega, an Endless Dungeon trailer. It looks like a multiplayer roguelike dungeon crawler game. Is that That's kind of the sense I got from it. It didn't look too bad. Like,
It looked really cool.
yeah. I'm not normally one for those type of games, but it looked kind of neat.
When I saw this, I immediately thought Dungeon of the Endless, which is another game. And I didn't get to look up beforehand if it's the same developers, but if it is, I'm pretty sure this game's going to be fucking fantastic.
Cool.
It looks really good. I'm a fan of kind of like that Diablo style game, but there's also, it seems like like you were saying, you combine some tower defense elements in with it, which is also kind of cool. And I think I like that. I like that style. So it seems really interesting to me. That style in general has been popular for a number of years. I feel like a lot of AAA and indie devs, when they're just looking to make like a solid, like to make a game with a solid formula, they just go for that. But this looks really cool. It looks like they did something a little bit different. I don't know what, but just something feels different about it.
Yeah. Then we had Giancarlo Esposito explaining why he took his role in Far Cry 6. And Garrett, if I assume you're not saying anything because you haven't seen these. Is that accurate? I don't want to skip over.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Right. I'm just trying to watch the show in the background. You guys always seem to beat me by one trailer.
Yeah, we'll get through these and then you can have something. 2B from Nier Automata is coming to Fall Guys as a skin. Looks weird. Fat 2B. Brand new studio, Deviation Games, is making a groundbreaking, and that's a quote from them, a new IP for PlayStation. There's no real other information there. We got a Sonic music performance from the music for Sonic Unleashed. I wrote, wish this had gone fast like Sonic. And then we got a Back for Blood. They showed off a new boss. They said that if you pre-order, you get beta access, which is August 5th. And it also says that they'll go more into their PvP mode. And I don't want a PvP mode. I didn't know I had one, and I don't want one. So can they not?
I don't mind having a PvP. I mean, because there's PvP modes in Left 4 Dead as well. It was a yeah.
What?
And,
I never played these. This is like
no, you could. So, in Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, you could play as, in the PvP, you would play as one of the, like, if you weren't the heroes, if you weren't the survivors trying to get out of the area, you would basically play as one of the special infected, not one of the generic zombies. You would play as, like, either a smoker or a bloater. I forget all the names, dude. It's been like 10 years since I played it. I just remember smoker, a witch. I don't think you could play as a witch. I think witches and tanks were like special ones that they were still controlled by the computer, because I think they were like specific they were instanced off, essentially, or not instanced. They were triggered. There was triggers to activate those, versus all the others just kind of come in randomly. It was all random spawn. So you could play as one of those special infected, and obviously in the second one you could play as the new special infected. So yeah, that's a thing that was in the original Left 4 Dead.
Interesting. Okay, glad I'm not the only one. Garrett seemed to not have any idea this existed.
Yeah,
either.
no idea.
I didn't like it. I played PvE the whole time. I'm not a competitive person. Because I'm bad at when I play competitively. It's one of those things where, like, I think I'm good, so I get pissed off at the people who are better than me, even though I really suck. And so it's not fun. It's just not fun for all parties concerned.
So you want to play some Smash Brothers, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Don't do it.
Don't play
100%.
with him.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. He plays for money. He's like a Super Smash.
Well, how about I bet $- so when he wins, he owes me.
That's the way to do it.
What's worth more, money or shame?
always shooting for the bottom.
All right. And then we had the Idea Xbox demo event starting Tuesday, and a Tunic little preview. This is the Legend of Zelda-esque game. Your little fox wearing a tunic, being Zelda.
It looks cool.
Or being Link.
It looks really cool.
I don't really care about Zelda, to be honest with you guys. Like, So I loved Oracle of Ages on my Game Boy back in the day. Other than that, and Ocarina of Time.
That's everybody's, yeah.
But other than and Wind Waker, those are the only 3 that I really actually.
I don't like Zelda. Let me list 3 games that I really like.
Exactly.
In the series.
Exactly.
There's like 9,000. Okay, you're picking 3. Like 3 isn't that many.
But you picked 3 of the good ones. Actually, I haven't played Oracle of Seasons/Ages. I have one on my 3DS, but I haven't played it. Wind Waker is my personal favorite. The first one was Ocarina, but Wind Waker is the one that still hangs up to me. I won't go into that though. I know we have to keep going. We have to keep moving. There's a lot of topics.
Yeah, but Tunic looks good demo. Check that out. Then we went to Tribes of Midgar. It's a new hack and slash survival game coming to PC and PlayStation.
This looked cool to me.
Yeah?
Yeah. You ever play Valheim?
No.
Valheim is kind of like you know what I'm talking about, Tom.
I have it on Steam. No one wants to play with me. I've talked about it on stream before.
Oh, good to see you listen. No, I'm just Valheim, it's kind of like I've only actually played maybe like 30-40 minutes of it, and I just haven't gone back to it, not because it's bad, I just don't have time. But it's like, what if Minecraft met Vikings, but at the same time it's not like you can't destroy the environment nearly as much as you can in Minecraft. You cut down trees and get resources, and use those resources to build yourself a shelter. It actually kind of looks. I've never played Fortnite, but from the videos I've seen of Fortnite, it looks like the building idea of that, where it's like you're in third person, so you kind of see where you're placing the wall in front of you. Okay. And this kind of reminds me of that, but combined with a Diablo style game. It's like Diablo meets Valheim almost.
I could be down for that.
Dude, you will. It's a survival game. You'll love those. Yeah. We'll play that.
Yeah. I mean, the first little bit with Valheim, I actually it's on my stream on Twitch. I think someone clipped it. I was trying to chop a tree down, and it fell over. It ricocheted off another tree and landed on me and killed me.
I love how it happens. Yeah. The tree physics in that game is something.
Don't make any sense. It's great.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Okay. So at least someone's excited for it. All right. Last 2. We got an extended look at the Evil Dead game, and I literally could not care less about this game. The Evil Dead as a franchise is nothing for me. This game looked like it had. Have you ever played Friday the 13th, the game that came out?
Yeah,
I haven't.
So it's like Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. That's where I got it from.
That's what I thought this game was. I thought it was like Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th, where one person plays as like the murderer and the rest are trying to collect stuff to like escape or beat them or whatever. So I'm not excited for this in the slightest.
I mean, it could be fun. Those kind of games are fun. You know, maybe this one would add some elements that are.
It's a drinking with your buddies game, that's for sure. The only times that I ever played that and enjoyed like the Dead by Daylight series, it was definitely don't pair up with randoms, but just sort of have like a virtual hide and go seek with your buddies.
Yeah,
it's good fun then.
I always found the monsters to be overpowered though.
Yeah, but I don't know, some of the abilities, because like I was playing like this weird girl who like couldn't do nothing except for every 30 seconds she got like a blip about where the monster was.
Yeah.
So like that was a pretty sweet ability, so I don't know. I was usually the last one or one of the survivors.
Cool. Yeah, I played Dead by Daylight for a bit. It was fine. Friday the 13th was a step down. But that leads us into the grand finale, and you haven't finished watching it, so I'm going to spoil it for you if you hadn't already been spoiled there, Garrett. Elden Ring, world premiere from Software, Bandai Namco, Miyazaki and George R. R. Martin's game. Release date, January 21st, 2022. I wrote a little note here, says bias. This looks like a Souls game. Doesn't do anything for me. I don't like Souls games. Tom, you like Souls games. What did you think of Elden Ring?
It looked really interesting. It looked really fast paced, like they've been pushing towards with like Bloodborne and Sekiro in recent times, and it just like adds on an extra layer on top of that. So I think that fast paced style works really well in Soulsborne kind of games. I'm interested to see what this one's actually about. I'm glad that we actually got to see some gameplay instead of what was it like? We saw some pictures that were leaked like way back with that really old trailer that we couldn't see because it was like pixels the size of my freaking head.
Like a Nokia phone or something.
Yeah, I was like, where would you guys? What kind of phone are you using? Like, come on, what's 2021? Anyways, it looks interesting. And there's like horse combat. It looks like that's what interests me as well. Like, so is the world going to be big enough where you can traverse on a horseback?
So, fun fact: this game has online multiplayer.
Oh.
That's good. That was missing from Sekiro, and I felt like it was needed because Dark Souls had it, and I love like playing with buddies.
Yeah, Mr. Maddie Plays tweeted out a picture. It has online multiplayer, so you can join your friend's world. I don't know if two players. I don't know how many it is. I assume you can ride. I think it said explore. It made it sound like you would ride on horseback together, so it sounded a little more open world-esque. Like you can just go off and explore things.
I'll play it online if I can't get invaded. I hate getting invaded in Dark Souls. It was the worst. Like, it ruined my mood. That's not why I play Dark Souls.
Josh, you a Souls guy?
Nope, not at all. No, it's nothing against the game either. It's just the games are tough, and I am a wimp for that kind of challenge. I think it's more or less I understand what I would have to do and the amount of time I would have to put in to get better at the game and like progress through the game, and I just don't want to do it. Like, I'm sure I could if I practiced enough and like put in enough time, but I don't know, man. I barely have enough time as it is to play the games that I want to play, let alone games for the podcast, let alone doing other stuff for the podcast and other, being a dad and like it. I want to feel a continual sense of progress with the limited amount of time that I have to play. Yeah. And if I spend the only 1 or 2 hours I have a night just slamming my head into a wall trying to figure out how to dodge an enemy, then fuck that. I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. That's not relaxing to me. That's just infuriating.
Yep. Same energy. I know Tom and Amon like Dark Souls games. I forget your opinion on them.
There's two Kevins in here.
Like, I get both sides of it, right? Like, it's I'm with him because I only get 2-3 hours a day to game, and I'd rather get like a sense of progress. But I do also understand the very unique, enriched feeling of accomplishment when you defeat a boss in a Souls-like game. Like, that's a stand-up and cheer moment. But like, my whole thing about Elden Ring, I think I've already talked about it. I think everyone should temper their interest a little bit. I don't get the hype on it because its big thing is written by Hiro Kojima, who has
no, it's George R.R. Martin and Miyazaki.
Yeah, but isn't it and him? Okay.
No, just I mean, it's written by a guy
George
who hasn't finished his own book series, so
yeah, right. So it's like
he doesn't care anymore.
By a character or by a guy who can't quite finish his own stuff quite yet. So we should all just temper ourselves on it, I guess, right? Like, I could be excited. I'll try it out, but I'm not going to get too excited.
You buy the game, and then like the whole second half of the game is just gone,
right? Like, it just falls apart. None of the main characters are there anymore. There's mysterious deaths all of a sudden.
No, it just fades to black. Just they didn't code the rest of it.
I mean, it'll really just depend on how, like, what Martin did on it, because I listened to a podcast where a guy spoke to him, and he was talking about how, like, people, understandably they're breathing down his neck to get another book done, because it's been a long fucking time since his last book. With that said, though, I'm hoping Elden Ring, and even though it's a Soulsborne or most likely a Soulsborne game because it's made by From Software, I hope that he's kind of like reeled in his the character list, because that's the reason why it's so hard for him to finish or write another book in the series, because it's not like he's only dealing with 5 characters. He's got like 20 or 30 characters with interweaving plot lines, and he has to find some way of having them all connect and then disconnect and then end and begin, and like there's just so much constantly going on that it takes a long fucking time to plan all that out, because you're having to map all of it out mentally in your head, or obviously writing it down, to keep that story all coherent. In this, I'm hoping for his benefit as well as the fans' benefit that he doesn't go as sprawling as Game of Thrones. That he just writes a good story without all of the political, or without the crazy number of characters to create the political intrigue. It can still have the political intrigue, but if it's like that number of characters, I think you're going to run into a similar issue with. I think it's going to falter if he tries to write it. If he wrote it with as many characters as Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, Elden Ring, we finally got the big reveal. Everyone out there listening, you can go watch it if you haven't already. In January, you should be playing it, barring any delays. I was very surprised they gave a release date. Did not expect that. Did not expect it so soon either. I was thinking like end of next year for this game, but we're not done going over reveals, guys. I'm gonna do there's a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna do a quick one. It's Monarch, the game we talked about last week. It is from the former creators of Shin Megami Tensei. It's the new school RPG, and I thought it looks really good. It's coming early 2022 to the West in October in Japan. You basically play as a school kid, wake up in some academy. You can manifest demons to do combat. It's turn-based. You have what they call ego system, which is basically the traits from Persona. I mean that's what it is. I mean you can definitely see the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona influences on this game, and I'm here for it. Give me the anime school kids and give me the turn-based combat. I'll play it all day. So I know Amon, rest in peace. He's not dead. He's just not here. But he also thought it looked pretty good. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. I posted it on our Discord.
I didn't see it.
I took a look at it. I'm not really interested in this still. For me, it's like I don't. Yeah, for me, it's like the whole like dark high school thing doesn't really work for me. You know.
No.
In Persona, it worked fine because I said in the last podcast, there was a lot in the outside world, and this one here just I don't know doesn't. I have to see it. I have to see some actual reviews before I even consider it.
Well, they're already selling $100 collector edition, so they got lofty plans for this game apparently. Did you, speaking of school children in anime games, did you play Fire Emblem Three Houses?
No, I did not.
I got really concerned. I thought you were going to stop. And speaking of school children, and just leave it there.
I maintain Fire Emblem Three Houses is the best Switch game to date. It's the best game on Switch that you can play. Not counting Smash Brothers, because I'm biased, but like just single player games. Fire Emblem Three Houses is the best Switch game. So,
I don't even play my Switch. That thing's a Pokemon machine. That's it.
All right.
And it'll be forever a Pokemon machine.
Well, we'll move into a bigger reveal than Monarch, and that is Battlefield 2042. Now, we were told to tune in yesterday to the reveal at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So I show up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and I get met with this little cryptic message, error, rebooting. And what does that get me? Gets me a countdown timer for 59 minutes.
That was the worst thing ever, because I clicked it, was like,
troll.
I should have saw the title of the video was Countdown to Battlefield Reveal. Why did I click on a live stream for a countdown to a Battlefield? I thought that was... Whatever. It just aggravated me.
Yeah, so it was super...
But the trailer was good.
Yeah, so after you came back in an hour, and then you got the 5-minute gameplay trailer, or no, I shouldn't say gameplay, in-engine trailer. What'd you guys think? I assume we've all seen it at this point.
I love it.
Oh.
You go.
Go for it.
You go first? All right. Seems exciting as all hell, man.
Oh?
I don't know, it just seems lively. A little disappointed that they don't have a single-player campaign.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that a little more here in a second.
All right.
So, but you thought that gameplay, the trailer looked good?
It looked fun.
Okay.
And that whole little bit about jumping out of the plane and hopping back in. Little inspiration from back in the day.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Tom?
I'm loving what they're doing. So from what I've seen, the environments look great. Everything is in engine at least, so even though it's not the gameplay. It looks like they're adding an extra level of destruction on this one that we haven't seen since like Battlefield 4, which was sorely missed. This game seems... I'm glad they didn't go too far in the future. There was a lot of rumors that this game was going to be a remake of Battlefield 2142. And I'm glad they, scaled that back. I don't like going too futuristic in my shooter games. Then we get a little wild out there with some, jetpacks and flying around like Advanced Warfare. But I'm excited. Battlefield has always been one of the franchises that I've played, a lot of. When my buddies were playing Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, I was on Battlefield 3, I was playing Bad Company 2, and that was, my game. I love the large-scale battles that these games offer, and this game, I'm just super hyped for it, man. Battlefield 1 was trash, in my opinion. Battlefield 5 was also trash, in my opinion. So I'm really hoping that this, gives us a return to the roots of greatness that, DICE once had with the Battlefield franchise.
Yeah, you mentioned large-scale battles, so that is some details we did get. It's 128 players on Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC. It is 64 players still for last-gen consoles. They said they got massive maps, dynamic weather, but you can also play against AI if you don't want to play against real people.
I mean, I guess that's cool.
I'm down for that. I don't like playing against real people.
Yeah, there's no single-player campaign, so those that want some sort of taste of Battlefield, I guess that's really good. It's an alternative, I guess.
Well, Josh.
Yeah, but is that already a prepped answer for when they were bringing in bots to Fortnite? Because just in case we'll have some AI to fill out the roster there.
Oh, in case the player base is low, you mean?
Yeah.
It's certainly possible. 128 people in one server is a lot of people to get together. Yeah. But Josh, what are your thoughts on Battlefield?
I've been over the realistic military shooter game since Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I've tried getting into... I know Black Ops was pretty good. I like the story in Black Ops because I play for the campaign, but I think I just got so tired of that, especially because I think really the late aughts, early 2000s, just burned me out on military shooters because that's everything that Call of Duty started going yearly right around then. Everyone was trying to catch up to Call of Duty. That's when Battlefield trying to catch up to Call of Duty, and I just don't care all that much. It looks really pretty. I like oh my goodness! Like Garrett said, I like the callback to jumping out of the plane, even though it's very fast. I made a joke I think before we started recording about how it's Fast and Furious-esque.
Yeah.
That made me smile. But it just, I don't know. I do like that they're pushing the multiplayer, how many players are in it, because that's one thing I always found interesting. Did you guys ever, in just thinking of battlefields that size, did you ever hear of a game called MAG?
Yeah.
Yep, that one had 256 players.
Multiplayer, actually, something crazy.
256 players, 128 versus 128. I would love to see. I don't know. I didn't even play it when it came out. The servers are down, so literally, if you own a copy, it's not even a paperweight because it's too light. It's a disc. That's all it is. But I would love to see a return to something like that, as well as what MAG did, where experienced players would turn into commanders, and they could command other units and squadrons of other players to go and position them and stuff. It was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I would like to see someone kind of return to that, because that's a really great idea. And maybe because obviously you can't control where players go, but maybe you could pick as an experienced player, as the general, you could pick their spawn points or something like that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, because right now Battlefield just has it in each person has a squad leader, and it's up to them to direct where the team can go. And if you follow that objective of what the squad leader told you to do, you get more XP. But that's the benefit of doing that. So, having 126 players or whatever it was, definitely gonna have to figure it out in terms of like a larger scale, and if they can, follow suit with maybe what Mags did a little bit, to help centralize and keep a clear focus on what's going on in the battle. It'll be needed for sure, or it's just gonna be like chaos.
Yeah, no, that's
I
a
can't
massive.
wait for the squad wipe videos.
You wiping 128 people at once.
Right? One well-placed grenade, all of a sudden your side screen just lights up with names.
And everything, like the frame rate suddenly plummets.
Oh yeah.
There's everyone's. There was like
bodies shooting in the air.
There was a quick side story back when I used to do a lot of Halo parties, like LAN parties. I would have friends over. We'd have like 14 people playing all at once. And we would play on the original Halo. There was a level called the Longest. And it was not the longest. It was the smallest level, multiplayer level. It was just 2 hallways with some rooms on the side. So we would set it to all explosives and infinite grenades and jam 14 players in it when it was designed for 6.
Yeah.
And the frame rate on that, like those Xboxes were chugging. They could not handle even 360s, man. Like they couldn't handle it. It was nuts. It was so fun. I want to, anytime where you can like ruin a game because there's too many explosions happening, it's good in my book.
That's funny. Well, it wasn't all good news for Battlefield. We saw a lot of backlash because they announced that this is a multiplayer only game. They will not have a single player game. DICE's Daniel Berlin actually spoke on this. He said, I think that's just something that enables us to really lean into what we're best at. If you looked at the DNA of the studio, what we've been doing for so long, we just said, you know what, we're not going to have a traditional single player campaign this time around, but we're going to put all that emphasis and all those resources into building depth in the multiplayer because that's what we do best. Now, people were giving this backlash not only because there's no single player campaign, but the price was revealed and it's $70. Now, how do you guys feel about paying $70 for a multiplayer only game? Is that something people should be upset about? Especially, and I think I want to preface this because its big competitor, Call of Duty, has Warzone, which is free.
Yeah, but I'm sure they're gonna have like a Battlefield battle royale eventually down the line. It's also gonna be free to compete with that. But in terms of $70 for a multiplayer only game, I don't really have an issue with that. Yes, it's a $10 increase from last generation. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 had no campaign, right? I believe that's the one that didn't have a campaign, and that even that one got flack. I believe the Battlefield franchise is better when they focus on the multiplayer. The last 2 came out extremely buggy right out of the gate and made the multiplayer like really unplayable. $70 is a lot more, but it's not like I'm not gonna get my money's worth from the game. Like the way I talked about earlier the other day with you about Ratchet and Clank, about that game being $70, and I was like, oh, that game's only like 8 to 10 hours long. Well, I know for a fact I'm gonna put over 100 hours in Battlefield like 2042, guaranteed. I'm gonna get my money's worth. Yes, I can see some other complaints in it though. I know there is one thing that this game has. It looks like they're gonna have specialists locked behind a season pass of sorts or a battle pass of sorts. I don't agree with that aspect of it. Definitely, if you're gonna charge $70, at least keep the battle pass stuff like as cosmetic only, and in terms of specialists, even if you can unlock them in game, which I'm assuming that's how they'll probably handle it to keep it fair. Don't add that extra stress to the people, your current consumers who just paid $70 on a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we had this conversation. What makes a game worth $70? Because Ratchet and Clank got backlash too for reviews came out, and even though it's reviewing great, like a 89 on Metacritic, people are like, well, it's only 12 to I think 20 hours is like the platinum, and people are like, well, $70 for 12 to 15-ish hours is ridiculous, and I disagreed strongly with that. I was like, no, because you're gonna get a quality 15 hours. I would much rather buy Ratchet and Clank and enjoy 15 hours, get the platinum, play an amazing game that I'm gonna love, as opposed to just getting more time, like in an Assassin's Creed game. Like I don't understand. Like I understand everyone likes Assassin's Creed and those type of big open world games where you can sink 50, 60, 70 more hours into it, but I don't think length should be used to determine the cost of a game. I think you should be able to, well, honestly, game companies can charge what they want for games, and we're all at their mercy. Nobody's making you buy the $70 game. I think Luke Lore said that on Twitter. He was like, rumor, you don't have to buy the $70 multiplayer game, big if true. So, I think it's a bit much? Yes. But I also think that people need to stop using length and specific content to determine what makes a game worth $70.
Do you want to because this is kind of in line with the discussion topics you have outlined?
This is the discussion topic,
Okay, I wasn't sure if you wanted to just go into. Well, so with the $70 price tag, I'm conflicted because part of the reason that they're upping the price is because in general, AAA studios, there's a lot of risk when you're making a game. That's why, especially when everything switched over to HD, that's why everything was the same freaking game over and over again, because they couldn't afford to take any risks. So part of me is like, yeah, up the price so that way you're more willing to take risks, because that'll give us more interesting games. Like you can afford to not sell as many when you're selling at an extra $10 per game. But the other side of me is angry about it because the game industry makes more than film, music, and television combined. Studios, I'm not saying for indie games, but I mean like AAA studios, that especially ones owned by Sony, owned by Microsoft, owned by EA, owned by Activision, they're making money. Like Activision's making money hand over fist. Like they don't need a $70 price tag. EA doesn't need a $70 price tag. They're just being fucking greedy. Like I don't agree with that. So I'm conflicted because should games go up to 70? Arguably, yes, because even if you look back at like in the 90s, games were $80, $90 in 1990s line money. That's not adjusted for inflation. You adjust that shit for inflation, that's over 100. Games were more expensive back in the day. So it's the fact that we have kept it at a consistent 60 for 2 generations is nuts in a good way. Mm-hmm. So I'm conflicted with it. Now I agree with what you were saying, Kevin, how length of time should not be used to dictate the value of a game. Value of the game is what the player gets out of it. Like for me, $70 for a Ratchet and Clank game, I'd 100% pay $70 for Ratchet and Clank game. I get so much out of those experiences. With that said, though, there can be some lines drawn. Perfect example, on the PS Vita, there was a Call of Duty game. The campaign was 2 hours long for like a $40-$50 game, and I'm sorry, like 2 hours. And are you trying to sell it on the multiplayer? You don't sell multiplayer for handhelds in general. Like even if the Vita took off, like how often are you going to have massive multiplayer games on handhelds? Probably not often, because you're going to be playing on your console because you can play on a big TV. So there is some boundaries there, but I guess to kind of wrap up my point with it is what makes a game worth 70? It's up to the player. If the player determines it's valuable enough, then they're going to determine it's valuable enough. When really what's going to happen is we'll see what the self-control is of gamers. Are they willing to wait for a sale? I mean, Nintendo never has a sale, so that's never going to happen, but they never drop. There's games that came out in 2013 that are still $60 on Amazon. It's ridiculous. But I don't know. I think it's 70 is a little too high just because of how much money the game industry makes. With that said, I'd be willing to pay it for certain games.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely everyone has their own point where it becomes worth it. Like Tom just said for Battlefield, he knows he's going to get hundreds of hours, so $70 for him for that title is 100%, yeah. It. But my point is I don't think the amount of time he gets out of it should dictate what he's willing to pay for it. Like if you bought Battlefield, Tom, and you played it for 10 hours and you were like, I had an amazing 10 hours, but then other games came out, would you feel like I wasted $70?
Not for an only multiplayer only title. Not at all. If you had a campaign, then I could say, all right, I beat the story. The story was fine. I got an experience out of it. If I played 10 hours of the game, I probably thought it was trash. I would not justify $70.
I guess it depends though. Like it, I think it also depends on the type of game. I think $70 for a multiplayer game. If you're only going to play 10 hours of a multiplayer only game, then I would actually agree with him. Like that's kind of a pricey. That's a kind of expensive because if it's multiplayer only, you kind of have an expectation that you're going to want to play more than just a couple of matches. You know what I mean? I mean, I know 10 hours is a lot more than a couple of matches, but I would assume you would. I mean, I would feel like I would want to play for hours and hours and hours if I'm going to spend $70 on it for a multiplayer only game. For a single player game, I think it's a little bit different because single player offers something different. Single player offers usually a narrative, usually a condensed, like really polished experience versus multiplayer only experiences are going to range all over the place. You could have a great match and have a great time, or you could spend the next 3 matches and be miserable because your team sucks or you suck and you're not having a good time. So there's a lot more fluctuation, which you need that length of time to balance out your experience. Versus a single player game, you have that nice, really polished, condensed, hopefully 8 to 20 hours, minimum 8, in my opinion.
Garrett, I want to get you involved in this conversation. What's your
like they've covered so much on this. There's nothing left for me to say.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm really mixed on it for like a $70 multiplayer only. Like they've both made really good arguments. If anything, it made me more torn. I was like, I could probably do it, but then it's just like, yeah, you could just get a bunch of friggin' wankers for the first 3 weeks, and that's not worth $70, right? Like, it's... multiplayer experience is very too much for the $70 price tag, I feel.
Okay.
Like, just a little bit too much. They could lower it by a chunk. And then give a $20 DLC to round out their $70 price tag once they give us a campaign.
I will say this. The game is going to be revealed gameplay-wise on Sunday during the Xbox and Bethesda event. I have high hopes that I'm going to have to pay $0 for this game, and it's going to come on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Day one.
If
that doesn't happen, yeah, I mean, either way, I'm going to buy the game if not, but you know, I have high hopes for that.
Yeah, I just hope we don't spend much time on it. You show me the minute and a half gameplay trailer coming to Game Pass, little splash screen at the end, and let's move on, because I don't need more Battlefield in my life. Mayday Bomber in the chat says it's a multiplayer only. I think the game should be free to play with microtransactions. Yeah, Hellboy, we talked about Elden Ring. You showed up a little late, so make sure to go back with the VOD and get our reactions to Elden Ring and everything else at Summer Game Fest. So we'll move in to another topic, because we have 9,000 of them. And this morning, Xbox had a giant news drop. So this is basically 9 stories in one. We will try not to go on too long. A lot of it is stuff we've already talked about and speculated on in the past, but now we have confirmation. So the roundup is from Will Tuttle over at Xbox Wire and Tom Warren at The Verge. We're going to start with Xbox Wire, where we learned ahead of Xbox's showcase this Sunday, Phil Spencer and Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, I believe is how you say, and other members of the Xbox leadership team had a Future of Gaming at Microsoft virtual press briefing. In this, Nadella confirmed, as a company, Microsoft is all in on gaming, and added, "We believe Microsoft can play a leading role in democratizing gaming and defining the future of interactive entertainment. There are really 3 key areas where we believe we have an incredible competitive advantage. First, our leadership in cloud computing. Second, the resources we have to build our subscription service, Xbox Game Pass. And third, our overall focus on empowering creators." So I'm going to stop right there. Do you guys think that those statements are accurate? Because I certainly do. I agree with him compared to the competition. They're the only ones successfully doing cloud gaming. They have unlimited money to buy games and get them on the Xbox Game Pass, and we've seen they're empowering creators while they're willing to they're willing to change how much they take from their store sales, right? They went to the 88-12 split instead of the 70-30. So am I wrong in agreeing here wholeheartedly? Maybe Josh, even as a
I agree. I mean,
No.
So Sony has built up a lot of ill will with me this last generation, mainly from a preservationist standpoint. Just being very brief on this because I know we still have more. Have you guys ever heard of the C bomb?
No.
The CMOS bomb. So on PS3 and up, it affects PS4 and PS5 the most. But on PS3 and up, you have a CMOS battery, which is meant to keep the internal clock of this console. If that thing dies, it has to check the internet to check the time. Normally, that's not a problem. If it doesn't check the time, so what, right? Well, Sony built it into their software, both for PS3 and up, that because of their trophy system, if that CMOS battery dies and you don't have internet access, on the PS3, all your digital games are useless, even if they're downloaded to your console. On PS4 and PS5, discs and digital games don't work. You can have the physical copy of the disc and put it into your console. They can't take it away from you, but they did because it just doesn't work anymore. And so those CMOS batteries will die at some point. So if Sony decides to shut down those servers at any point, your library is just bricked. And I'm not okay with that. Xbox, on the other hand, has made every single thing backwards compatible on the Xbox Series X, all the way back to the original Xbox. They're literally ensuring that their player base can play all of their games that they have invested. They can play all the games based off all the time they invested into Microsoft. So they're rewarding their customer base by actually letting them play exactly what they said, play how they want when they want. And Microsoft is just killing it on that aspect. Like I'm legit, like when I'm looking at the two consoles, I don't have any of the newest gen consoles. I'm probably going to go for a Series X over a PS5. Wow. The only reason I'm going to get a PS5 is for Ratchet and Clank. But right now, like if it wasn't for Ratchet and Clank, because that's my favorite series, I would be getting a Series X over a PS5, hands down.
Wow. Yeah, no, I think it doesn't. There's some Xbox has some DRM, which isn't as serious as what you're saying for the PlayStation, but
they can code that out though. I don't know if they can.
I'm not sure. I don't know all the technical aspects, but I have heard people mention this in passing. But okay, well, it seems we're all in agreement there. So I'll move into the second part of this 9-page story. We were given some figures about Xbox Game Pass. So Xbox Game Pass members play 30% more genres and 40% more games. 90% of members said they've played a game they wouldn't have tried without Game Pass. Partners see more engagement in their game. It goes up more than 8 times when it comes to Game Pass. Members of Game Pass spend 50% more than non-members. The hours in EA Play games EA games, I should say, have gone up 200% thanks to the integration. And Outriders was also the #1 digital selling Xbox game during the month it launched on Game Pass and top 10 for April. Launch week, it was #1, top 10 for all of April. So this kind of goes against the perception we've often heard that Game Pass means people are not buying games, they're not spending the money in the ecosystem, and it ultimately hurts developers. Garrett, based on these figures, what are your thoughts on this? And you're muted if you're talking.
Yeah, I was totally muted. Damn. I had a good roll there for a few seconds.
Go for it.
But no, I think that there's something hidden in the wording about gamers are spending more on games now. I think that I want to see the official wording on that, because I could see playing more genres. Like, I think all of us here have played many games that we wouldn't have regularly played for or paid for. But yeah, no, it's just that's the one I can't see. I could see developers making more money early through contracts and things, and thus more people like us even just playing it, right? But I don't know. I I can't fully believe that one because I know I haven't personally. I've like spent or cut my spending on games in like half with Pass. Game Pass has to praise be.
I'm like the opposite. I haven't increased my spending than I did in the past, but Game Pass definitely didn't stop me from buying games or buying DLCs. What it has allowed me to do though is be a little bit more creative of what I buy. Where if it's a game I might have not bought before, now I might be more willing to, since I'm getting all these extra games on Game Pass that I know I'm going to keep enjoying throughout the months. So I can definitely see it. And especially for the DLCs, a lot of these games that are come onto Game Pass, they don't come with the DLCs, and that adds a lot of extra content. I can definitely see the developers making money off that. Oh, there goes Craig.
Can you get him back in here? But just to build on that, I think the Game Pass model, when it's psychological, right? Like when I have a game like Outriders.
Now recording.
We can use Outriders for example. I was going to buy Outriders because the demo sold me, and then it came to Game Pass. I was like, wow, there's $60 I save. I can now put that $60 towards another game maybe I wouldn't have bought, like an Immortals Phoenix Rising that I got on sale. And it's like, it just gives you more money to go and buy things that you wouldn't have tried otherwise. But then also Game Pass has genres and games. Like I played Haven and Deep Rock Galactic and all these other games that I would have never gone and bought, but they're on Game Pass. So I'm going to go check those out. And I just don't see how anyone can possibly think Game Pass hurts developers. Statistics are showing it doesn't, and we've heard from other developers that they're making out fine. They're making out fine. So, Josh, thoughts?
I mean, you guys really covered it. It's Game Pass is honestly the best deal in gaming right now. The Netflix of gaming model is like it, and it works. I'm a big fan of. I have this weird stigma against streaming services. Nothing against xCloud. Like I like how Microsoft is doing it, where it's not their sole business model. It's just another pillar propping up their platform. But like I have no interest in Luna. I have no interest in Stadia. So like streaming stuff just has like my internet's shit. I don't have time. I can't stream games, and most people have bad internet. But with the downloading model where you can just download the games, yeah, it might take a little bit if you have shitty internet, but like you can just download the games and try a bunch out. I think it's a great system, and I can totally see what they're saying about how they play 30% more genres, 40% more games. 90% of the members said they played a game they wouldn't have tried without Game Pass. It makes sense when it's no cost to you other than the $15 month. Is it $15, right?
Ultimate's $15 a month. It's you can have Game Pass for just $10 if you don't want to play online.
That would be all I do anyway. So yeah, for $10 you can literally just try games. It's genius. It's cheaper than what it would have been to rent 2 games from Blockbuster, and you could try out an infinite number, well, not infinite, a ton of games per month. So you know what, like, yeah, I can see why this is doing this, and I think it was a smart play from the beginning, and it's paying off now.
Well, we are big cheerleaders here for Xbox Game Pass, and we'll move on to the next part of the story, because I'm still not done. Xbox and Xbox Game Pass are coming to more screens. Xbox is working with global TV manufacturers to embed the Xbox experience into smart TVs with no extra hardware besides a controller. Xbox is exploring new subscription offerings for Game Pass so more players can experience the service. Xbox is working with telecommunication providers on new purchasing models like All Access. Xbox is building its own streaming device for cloud gaming to reach gamers. Cloud gaming will launch in Australia, Brazil, Mexico, and Japan this year. In the next few weeks, cloud gaming will open to all Xbox Game Pass members on Edge, Chrome, and Safari browsers on any device. Cloud servers are being updated from the Xbox One servers to the Xbox Series X servers to improve load times, frame rates, and allow for optimized games to be played. And later this year, cloud gaming will be added directly to the Xbox app on PC and integrated into the console in order to allow for a try it before you buy it feature. So you can just stream the game on your console. It's basically just giving demos, but through the cloud. You don't have to download anything. So I just threw out a lot, and I think a lot we've speculated on this before, and now we have it confirmed. So Xbox is diving in. They're going for the smart TVs, which I think I've said numerous times. They're getting the streaming stick. They're expanding. It's just allowing people that don't have the income to buy a box to play on their TV, to play on their tablet, to play anywhere they want to play. And I saw people getting pissed off about this because they were like, well, Xbox, what's the point of buying a console? They're giving up on consoles. They only want cloud, and we should feel upset about this. And I cannot subscribe to that mentality, because gaming should be for everyone regardless of your income, and the only thing this does is let people that don't have the disposable income that I do play these games. So
yeah, and even then, that story also said, like you said, the telecommunications they're working with, like people to getting all access involved in that, which comes with a console. So they're definitely not giving up a console at all. They're just giving a lot more options. You can play it on the streaming. If you want to buy the console outright, you can do that. If you want to lease it through all access and pay your monthly installments until you're able to pay it off, you can do that too. They're just making it a lot easier for you to get involved in gaming.
I got nothing else to add to that. I love the fact that you can literally, they have basically a layaway program for their consoles, but you get the console up front. Like, that's fantastic. You're financing a console, which, in all honesty, especially with how especially how with most people is, I can't afford a $500 console off the gate anymore. I got a kid to feed. I can't just drop $500 at once. So the fact that you can pay like $10, $15 or whatever it is, like 20, 30, I forget how much, what they have different rates that you use, but it's affordable, and it's not like and there's no interest on it. So it's even better than most other financing things. So the cloud gaming thing, like I said, I'm not a fan of it, but it's an easy way to get other people to play games. So why, as long as it's not the sole thing, because I like to be able to own my games. So as long as it's not the sole focus, which it's clearly not, I'm all for it. It's a great idea.
Garrett, anything to add before we move on there, buddy?
Nah, man, I'm getting the victim stance of voice going last. These guys are doing great coverage.
Okay, well, I'll go first. You can go first on the next ones.
Nice. Thanks.
Now you get the pity one.
I get a turn. Right?
Sorry.
Say okay.
Yeah, I'm not really going first. I'm just like, the first one to speak. Yeah, I'm just jumping in.
I'm still trying to watch the show in the background and catch up on everything I missed. So it's hard. Well, I hear just like Garrett out of the blue.
Well, I'm gonna talk to you about a man called Matt Booty, because he did a little interview over with I don't know where it was, but Andy Robinson over at VGC has some quotes from Matt Booty, who confirms that, quote, "We will continue to look for studios that can add great people, great teams, and great new ideas to our lineup." He also reaffirmed that they will work with independent studios to make first-party exclusives like they did with Moon Studio for Ori and Don't Nod for Tell Me Why. And he confirmed that their goal is to release, quote, "at least one new first-party game into Game Pass every quarter." Does that get you excited there, Garrett?
Oh yeah, dude. And even in didn't Cold Eastwood say that the new number went from 23 to 26? They were talking about?
Yeah, in the news write-up today, it says Matt Booty said we have more than 23 first-party studios, which, as far as we know, isn't accurate. So people are like, well, why did he phrase it like that? And now they're thinking that they're going to announce some studio acquisitions.
Because Sega and WB is already done. Like that show last week, those were going to be my two big predictions. I swear, it's happening. The controllers have been the secrets the whole time. Full tinfoil hat. But, yeah, no, I'm excited for it. More content on Game Pass the whole way around. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'm just excited for the thing that excites me the most is that at least one first-party game on Game Pass every quarter, because right now output is their biggest crutch, right? Like we haven't got a first-party game for this generation yet. I know Halo's coming, but we've been hearing it for years
Medium.
now. That's not first.
Oh no,
party.
the Medium's the
Yeah.
third party. It's third party. Bloober Team.
Yeah, Bloober.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't got a first party. I'm waiting on it. Sony's putting out a few now. We need to start getting on the horse here, Xbox. So
And
that's
did
what
they
excites me.
say AAA quality every quarter, or just a first party exclusive?
Just first party exclusive?
Okay, so yeah, like it could be 2 big games with 2 attempts, like a Recore, a year, right?
Like a grounded.
Sort of what I'm getting.
I liked
Grounded,
Recore.
dude. Grounded is so much fun.
Yeah, no, I like grounded.
Like if
but it's
that
not
game just
AAA,
came out
right?
as a finished thing, yeah, fair enough. It's
yeah,
it's a AA and a half.
Yeah, it's made
2
by like
capital A's.
Obsidian's team making
It's
that
made by
super
7
small.
people.
Yeah, super small.
Yeah, most exciting.
Josh, I'm gonna give this one to you because good boy Phil Spencer here, who we all love so dearly, took a rare shot at PlayStation during his briefing. Also from Andy Robinson, Phil had some criticism for, quote, others who bring console games to PC, saying, so right now, we're the only platform shipping games on console, PC, and cloud simultaneously. Others bring console games to PC years later, not only making people buy their hardware up front, but then charging them a second time to play on PC. And of course, all our games are in our subscription service day one, full cross-platform included. Sounds like a shot at PlayStation for bringing Horizon and Days Gone and Uncharted 4, I think they just announced years after the fact.
I mean, Sony's just trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. I have no issue with them bringing the games to PC, though. For some reason, Sony fanboys really cried about that.
Yes.
Like they were like, "You're taking it off me," that's or something like that. I don't. It's a weird shot to me. Like it doesn't seem like that much of a criticism because like. Mm-hmm. It's like you're criticizing something that doesn't exist. Like Sony doesn't have a Game Pass equivalent, right? So it makes sense. Like if you get Game Pass, then yeah, you get it across all consoles. But doesn't Microsoft charge? Like if you bought Halo 5 or whatever for the Xbox One, you don't automatically own it for PC as well, do you? Or can you just download it then?
No, they do have games like that though.
Yeah,
It specifies they're called Play Anywhere games, and then you get them on PC and on console.
But they're not every game.
No. Not every game. No,
it's not every
Sony
game.
did that too, though. Sony did that. There was cross-play where you could buy, like Ratchet and Clank. What is it? Ratchet and Clank. It wasn't a great game, but it was Full Frontal Assault. I bought that for the PS3, and it came with a download code for the PS Vita version, so I have both versions. So when it was on a different system, then they get, not all of them, but they did do some crossplay stuff. So it's just a weird shot. Like I don't really consider it that much of like a criticism. As I mean, if it was meant to be one, it missed the mark by a wide margin because it wasn't any there. Like, ooh, oh no, like. I don't know, like it wasn't really like a scathing indictment against Sony. It just was like Sony's coming to PC now. If anything, it's showing how forward-thinking Xbox was. Maybe that's what he was going for. Like, look how forward-thinking we are, and Sony's now just catching up. To me, that makes more sense than what he said.
Yeah, I think your interpretation is probably correct, and people are kind of spinning this into a console war thing. And obviously, I gave that intro. It was totally, tongue-in-cheek intro for that story because I think people are blowing it way out of proportion because Phil Spencer,
as gamers always do.
Phil Spencer has never been one to start drama. We saw him congratulating Insomniac for the great launch of Ratchet. Like he does that shit all the time. He's very nice and he loves all games. So I really do think this was more a look what we do and other people are still catching up. Like it's not.
The console wars thing is just back with a vengeance right now, especially on Twitter, and I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. Like I said, I'm a Sony fanboy. I love their exclusives. That's what made me a Sony fanboy. But not a fanboy in the sense where it's like anytime someone brings up Xbox, I have to be vitriolic and be like, well, this is why PlayStation is better for A, B, and C reasons. Or I could just acknowledge that PlayStation does some good shit, Xbox does some good shit, and one of them does certain things better than the other. Sony has better exclusives. Xbox is more overall like inclusive of all gamers, literally letting you play anywhere. Which is more important? That's up to you.
Well said. Garrett, anything to add?
You're muted.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. No, I actually wasn't even listening. I got to Jurassic Park part of the GameFest.
Oh man,
I'm sorry. I dropped the
That's
ball.
the best part for him.
professionalism.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited for that. That looks fun. And
All
Jeff
right.
Goldblum, he's cringe.
All right, I mean, I guess I could jump
I
in
like
a
Jeff
little bit
Goldblum.
then.
I like Jeff Goldblum. He's cringe, but like on purpose. That's like who he is. All right, let's wrap this. Let's wrap this show up. We're down to the last few here. Is Microsoft's Flight Simulator about to be stealth dropped? Tom Warren confirmed that during the same briefing we just talked about, Microsoft showed off a trailer for Flight Sim running at 4K on the Series X. Trailer will be shown this Sunday during the showcase and ends with a landing on Xbox X and S. We also have seen recent listings from GameStop with June 15th listed as a release date. So I think there's not really much to say. I think this is like Psychonauts. I think Flight Simulator is about to launch into consoles.
I can see that. I mean, we're having a really bad like drought month because they haven't announced anything yet, so they're definitely holding stuff in the bag right now. I'm sure we'll see it Sunday and get that announcement.
I don't know. I'm so excited for it, man. But I'm interested in how they're
Really?
gonna put the controls over. Yeah, dude. My like uncles and lots of cousins, family members are pilots in my family, and just like how that game is, they all got like the big PCs going hard on it,
Wow.
and I wanna jump in with the controllers. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
it plays real good on the controller. When I have it on PC and I've used my Xbox Series X controller on it and it works
Okay.
fine. I imagine they're
works
just gonna
fine?
port they're just gonna port the controls over like the same way and it works fine.
Okay.
I can't imagine being a pilot and then going home and being like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play a game about flying a plane.
Well, they could always they like a challenge, right? So they go home and like a good easy day of work, and then they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put a hurricane going across the plains and see how that would."
Let's risk some lives,
Yeah,
baby.
right?
I wish this happened at work today.
Yeah. Well, just got to get your heart going, you know. And like, there's some of those things where they could like GPS like real-time storms going across the world. So like another thing that they do is like imagine what it's like flying around those hurricanes. You can't just jump down to the States for a test flight around a hurricane.
I just love the idea that they're like, what if my job was more dangerous? Let me experience that. Like that's funny, and that's funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, last news story. Then we have one quick rumor, and the chat has a question for Josh before we wrap up here. So, guys.
For me,
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
EA was hacked. Can you believe it? This story comes from Joseph Cox over at Vice. Hackers have broken into gaming giant Electronic Arts and have stolen game source code and related internal tools. The hackers claimed that they took the code for FIFA 21 as well as the code for its matchmaking servers. The hackers also said that they have the source code and tools for the Frostbite engine, proprietary EA frameworks and software development kits, and a total of 780 gigabytes worth of data. This was confirmed by EA and says no players should be affected by this hack. Couldn't happen to a nicer company, in my opinion, guys.
Man, jeez. Yeah, give us the information. What's been leaked? That's what I want. I want them to just tell us what was the data you guys pulled. Put that online. I want to see it.
I'll be honest, the thing I'm most excited about this, not because it happened to EA, what this is good for, like I mentioned before, I love video game history and preservation. They stole a bunch of source code. Source code is stuff that legit, like, you can't find anymore. Like, Kingdom Hearts, when they made the remake of it, they lost the source code for that, so the devs had to make everything from the ground up again. They couldn't just go back to the source code. So I'm hoping that whoever hacked it just gives it away for free to like hit like the Game History Foundation or something. I don't know, just something like that. That would be awesome to me.
Yeah, I know. CD Projekt Red got hacked a few months ago, and they just put out a statement that they were like, "We're become aware that some of our stuff is circulating online." So that seems to have happened with them, that people are sharing it. But I think to your point, source code is important because we have countless instances like the Mass Effect DLC. and they just lost it. It's gone forever. Mega Man, they were going to put out a Mega Man collection, and they lost the source code for the old Mega Man games. Like, what do you mean lost it? That's your mascot. How do you lose?
But these are. You'll have to remember though, these were commercial products. They didn't consider the historic. Like they didn't think like in the 80s and 90s when this stuff was, when games were really starting to take off. They didn't think like people would give a shit about it like 30, 40 years later. That's one of the reasons the Game History Foundation does what it does. Like one of their points is that in the history of film, the first like 40 years of film history or something like that, like from 1900 to like 1940, 1950, somewhere around there, it's just 90% of it's lost. 80 or 90% of it's lost. Like all the movies we do know from about that are within that last 10 to 15, 20, whatever percent. But the vast majority of film is just gone. No one knows about it. And it's not like there's enough people alive from that era to remember all those films. So it's just gone. So they have a source code project where they're trying to preserve the source code so that way years later they don't know what people are going to give a shit about in like 30, 50 years from now. So they're just preserving everything. So I'm hoping it makes it to them somehow.
Garrett, do you care about EA getting hacked? And don't be muted.
Oh, I got the mute this time. No, I just need to. Well, I think we care more about like what, because do they have like a credit card thing going on with them? Like, could they get any of that stuff hacked?
EA, do they have? Yeah, they make all their money from microtransactions in FIFA.
Oh yeah, but like that would be dealing with the Xbox or PlayStation.
You know, I wonder though if they did steal the FIFA source code, would that give them a way to hack in to get people's credit card information who puts info into for FIFA? Does that give them a backdoor to it? That could be an issue.
I don't know.
Maybe
they have the matchmaking server for FIFA too, apparently. So I don't know if there's a way for them to like get into that server and then get players' information. That I'm not a hacker. I don't know what's possible.
Hey hackers, if you're listening, you could get rid of those commercials at any time.
If you're a hacker, drop in the comments how you would dismantle EA from the inside. But
I don't know. Anything that they got regarding trailer and news-wise, EA should just do the whole not play with terrorists and just release it.
I think that's what they said, that they weren't going to cooperate with them.
Yeah, no, that's what the best thing to do, right? Because if not, these guys are just going to release it online and it's going to get out in some weird chopped up version when they could just release their own trailer and just everyone would have the answers and there would be no point, right? So to make it obsolete. But yeah, the only thing I'd be worried about is possibility of getting people's credit card information leaked, because I can't imagine a person who spends a lot of money on FIFA has that much security on their creded cards. Probably
wow,
not.
He's taking shots at FIFA players.
I mean, they buy a lot of card packs.
I've never bought a card pack.
I did for NHL, and I hate myself for it.
It's okay.
Ooh.
We all have dark moments.
Yeah, we all.
But
I bought a Fortnite skin a time or two. I get it.
I made a joke that the hackers should sell them back in microtransaction randomized packs. Like you gotta pay us a few bucks to try to get.
You don't know which source code you're gonna get.
You gotta collect them all, build a team with your source code.
I got a weird message one time on Facebook Messenger for my podcast from someone asking me if I could help them how to hack. I'm dead serious. I go hello, and I responded hello, and they go, "Can you help me how to hack?" And I'm like, "What the hell is this?" I responded super formally. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I do not know how to hack." And then they asked if I had any binary code.
What?
I do not. And they said, "Okay, thanks," and that was the end of it.
Just throw some zeros and ones in there, and like, yeah, here you go. Hey, here you go, bro.
Oh yeah, I got what you're looking for. All right, so we got one rumor to work with here, and it's Ubisoft is working on a PvP Tom Clancy game that combines elements of Splinter Cell, Ghost Recon, and The Division, codename Battlecat. Apparently, from the details that were leaked, it's going to be similar to Overwatch in terms of game modes that have like how they have to escort the payload in Overwatch. it'd be that, but with Ubisoft characters. And the only thing I have to say about this is, for the love of God, Ubisoft, please don't do this.
I no interest. I mean, it's Ubisoft stuff. I like Far Cry. That's about it. I haven't played enough Splinter Cell to really have an emotional connection to it. So it's on my list to play. It's on my list to play. I have them somewhere back there, but it's on my list to play.
Great games. Play them. You'll love them, and then you'll be like, why have they treated Sam Fisher like garbage the last 12 years?
To me, like, if it was a PvP game focused on, like, you know, the old school gameplay, like the PvP modes we had then, like on Chaos Theory, for example, I'll be all for it. But if it's PvP modes, like you're trying to be Overwatch now and have to follow the payload, get the fuck out of here. I don't want that game.
Garrett, would you like an Overwatch but Ubisoft themed? He came in for a second there. I saw his... Nope, he's gone again.
Oh, yeah, no, phone's glitching out. It's on like 2%.
Oh,
But,
right.
yeah, didn't have time to charge it. But, like, it could be great in theory. Like, Super Smash pretty much has that category down lock for the bring your own character.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's got a chance. Like, what are they thinking? Like, Valorant style, sort of? Tactical shooter?
From the it sounded, I don't know how it, like, I don't know if it'd be first person or what types of actual, like, shooting gameplay mechanics. I just know that the rumored game mode sounded similar to Overwatch.
Okay. So, I don't know. It's got potential. They all do. It's a sit and wait thing. Because there's a huge difference between, like, Super Smash and All-Stars, let's say. Or what was the one for the PlayStation that came out a while
All-Stars
ago?
Battle Royale.
Yeah, that was not good. Not good.
Yeah, but the sequel that I predicted in our E3 predictions, that one will be great.
Yes, that one will be.
I'm going to be a Ratchet and Clank main, y'all. Yeah, that's it. Josh, before you go, we had a viewer question for you. It was, what are your top 3 favorite retro games, I believe it was.
Oh, that is a good question. That's tough. Right, you know what? That I always say this. My favorite games in general always change, so that's the same for my retro games. Right now, though, off the top of my head, top favorite 3 currently my top favorite 3 retro games: Super Mario World. I love Super Mario World, one of my favorites of all time. I would probably say Mega Man 2 for the NES, and then we'll go with N64. We'll go with something from N64. The World Is Not Enough, which is the sequel to 007 GoldenEye, which everyone loves, and it's a good game, but I like The World Is Not Enough more, personally. It's kind of a hot take on that one, but we don't have time to go into that.
Well, my brother would love your first 2 picks. He loves both those games. I've never even heard of that sequel. I didn't know GoldenEye had a sequel, so...
It wasn't made
the multiplayer was trash.
I disagree. I think The World's Enough had better multiplayer than GoldenEye. It had AI bots, which GoldenEye did not. But a lot of it's nostalgia talking, admittedly. I played that before GoldenEye, so it's more nostalgia than anything. But I still love it.
All right. Well, as we've gone on for 2 hours plus now, I think it's time for us to wrap it up. We've reacted. We've given some opinions. And I'll just let everyone go around and say where they can find you. So, Tom, where can everyone find you?
Twitter, Alpaca Tom. Follow me. I share memes sometimes.
Garrett, where can they find you?
Wayworn G on Xbox and Twitter. Feel free to give me a link and we'll play some games.
Josh, please plug your podcast.
Still Loading Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Still Loading Pod on all of them. You can email me stillloadingcontact@gmail.com. And I'll plug this here. It's not related to me, but I plug it on my show all the time. The Bit by Bit Foundation. The Bit by Bit Foundation is a non-profit organization who puts video games and video game consoles in the hands of kids receiving inpatient care at hospitals and children's hospitals. So if you want to go support them, bitbybitfoundation.org.
I agree. As someone that used to work at a hospital, great cause. And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. That's a 1 instead of an I and an O instead of an A. I say it every week. And make sure to, like I said, go to Apple Podcasts, drop us a review, a rating, tweet it at us at Project XTalk. We need to hit 25 by next Thursday, and I will give away a random 1-month Xbox Game Pass code. So go get those in. They take about a day to post, so don't wait until the last day. Apple will screw you out of a giveaway. But until then, we will see you guys we will see you on Sunday, actually, for the Xbox Showcase live reaction. So make sure you're here and joining us for that. I might do some reactions to other showcases next week. There might be 2 I can do. I will post on Twitter if we can, but we will all see you then. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Bye.